This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And we are the Fast Break Podcast. This is the third time we're trying this intro. It's
been a long day.
We've been giggling a lot. We're shooting this way later than we usually do. But we are back. Dave's back from vacation that you did not see.
Yep.
And we're going to be ranking the top 30 starting shooting guards in the NBA. We're using the depth charts from RealGM.com. You can find what we're going off of, what guys we are actually ranking, and some guys, right now we're in the part where not everyone is in the system or in the right place, so there might be some guys that are going to be lower that might actually be starting, but we'll get into that. We're just ranking it as of August 27th, so let's get into this. And one thing I do want to say about small forwards, we actually get into the rankings, is Dave brought this up, and small forwards are kind of like a unicorn. It's hard to rank them all because they're all unicorns. They're all nice and lovely.
All special in their own way.
They are all special in their own way. You got some all-around players who can do everything around the court. You got guys who can put up 20 a night but can't play defense the other side. You got skilled shooters. You got defenders only. And then you got your list of superstars. And there's a lot of guys that fall into those places. And it's hard to finally get a true ranking of these guys. So like when you guys were looking at these small forwards, what was like the key stat for you to look at and for these rankings? Or is it more of their play on the court than the actual stats?
Well, this one, like with point guards, it was, I'm looking at how much you score, and assists is kind of a big one.
How well you facilitate.
Yeah, how much you facilitate.
And turnovers too.
With shooting guards, it was mainly, how much you score, rebounds, and then kind of assists and some defense.
On the Harden.
With this one, with me, this is the most complete of a position because it's like,
you got to fill out everything.
Here's your stats, but what do you bring to your team? Because like you said, every team might you could use a small forward like a big down low. You can use them like a shooting guard on the perimeter.
You can
use them like a point four. But this is one where it's like,
forward.
Okay, here's what you got. What do you bring to your team? And that is me outside the top 10, maybe even like to maybe 13. After 13, it was like, fuck, where do I put these guys?
Mm-hmm. It's extremely close, like you were saying, because everyone brings something unique to their team. And the weirder thing is when some of these guys switch teams, it's different. I mean, and that's what fucks things up even more, because we're trying to take a look at what have you done for us and what are you going to do on your new team with your new system.
Like I think of Evan Turner. Yeah, with the Boston Celtics, he was pretty good. But now what is he going to do now that he's no longer in Boston?
But he also kind of fell in that position where I don't know if he's actually the starting small forward there, because he might be, they might move Alan Crabb there and kind of go off with him and then have Evan Turner play that same position he had where he was the sixth man kind of facilitating that second unit. So we'll
give that veteran presence.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see, and we'll see what they kind of can do. Another guy that we had trouble with was Ben Simmons as well. I mean, I didn't know where to put him.
I had him ridiculous. He's in my top 10. He's in my top 10.
Crazy to say for a guy who's never stepped on the court and who you're bashing in the summer league.
I may have bashed Ben Simmons, especially in the summer league, but you cannot lie the potential he brings. And when we're
cannot lie the potential he brings. And that sentence alone.
And when we're talking about him, and when we were in the draft, early in the draft process, even late in it, when we're starting to compare him to LeBron, that brings a ton more potential. And just on that alone, top 10.
Yeah, I think that's also, though, if everything goes right. I don't think anyone's actually expecting him to be LeBron.
If the stars align, he can be LeBron James. If they don't align, he's just an okay player. I mean,
I think if the stars don't align, he's a pretty good player.
Well, I mean, he has the potential to be very good, but he's got a lot of things he's got to work on still. His outside shooting has looked very poor from his time in college and in the early summer league. So it just kind of comes down to, what is he going to do with that team, and how is he going to grow with a four big lineup around them? It's going to be interesting to watch. Does he have potential? You're absolutely right. Off the charts. I mean, he's got absolute star written all over him. He can do everything else you need to. His passing is just, it's fantastic to watch because it's something that you don't see out of someone with his size. And he just has a touch to the ball that you see usually with point guards. And no, the ball is always in his hands, and he's a natural with it, so that helps it because, you see a lot of guys who, they're the in-betweener, like they get the ball past them and they can, drop down low or whatever. No, he's always looking for the open man. He's always looking for how can I get this ball in the hoop the best way for my team. It's never about him. So I like a lot about him. He's not super selfish either. So
yeah, as a 19-year-old, I mean, his basketball IQ is off the charts. But I mean, really, it's more of taking that IQ and putting it towards his game. You're the only one who actually gave him an official ranking, though, because Dave put Ben Simmons with a question mark. I put him at 15.
I want him to be there. I've got him at 14. So I think you and I were like, he's probably going to come in that mid-range because no matter what he's going to do, he's going to be an amazing player to watch on that 76ers team. He's the focal point of that team. I think we can all agree.
Mine was more, he's on a bad team. It's his first year. We haven't seen him able to develop a shot. Do I think he'll definitely move up the ladder? I think so, just because of his skill set. But, I can't put him there because he hasn't actually stepped out on the court.
Right. I just think he's going to be, when it comes down to it, I was looking outside of, to me, it was the top 8 players I had. I'm like, okay.
That's a lot.
I get to these guys, they are the top 8. But then I got to 9, and it's guys like Danilo Gallinari, Tobias Harris, Jay Crowder, Harrison Barnes. I'm sitting there going, you know what? I feel pretty confident putting Ben Simmons just based off potential alone above him.
That's bold.
Above those players.
You're going to get eaten up, especially Nuggets and Pistons
that's all
fans.
this is. It's Ben Simmons and when you get to any rookie, like Dave mentioned when we did the shooting guards with Brandon Ingram, because you threw that out there.
I feel like he's going to be a shooting guard.
Even though Clarkson
Year 1
was on number 1 on the depth chart for a real GM.
Correct.
This is all, when it's all rookies, it's all potential of what they can be. Even D'Angelo Russell, it's kind of like, yeah, we got to see what you did last year, but your coach didn't really play you, didn't really like you. So yours is also a little potential. With this, it's all of, this is what I expect to see. I expect to see him come in, and he'll be a guy where you're sitting there going, yeah, top 10 for sure. Top 10 small forwards if he's locked into that position.
Out of first-year players and rookie, he is the highest player that we have put up in here. And Ben Simmons coming in at 12 officially. I had him at 15. Dave had him at 14. And Ricky had him at 9. Ended up at 12. And we have all of those full links. If you do want to check out our full rankings, you could check that out on mostvaluablepodcast.com. Just find the Fast Break podcast, and the rankings will be in the
links also down below in the description.
Bio. It's also, thank you,
Always.
Ricky. This is the guy who sets it up and does everything here, so he knows what he's doing. Let's get into the bottom half and work our way up, back up to Ben Simmons.
The clusterfuck, basically.
All right, no, this one's easy. If I may, Sean.
Yeah.
If I may. We have the one and only Kyle Singler.
Garbage.
Look, this man does not deserve to be on a basketball. You know how they're always like, look, they're
does
the
not
best.
deserve to be on a basketball team?
Yeah, you heard.
Christ.
Look. You know when they're like, well, these are the best 600 athletes. I think it's 600 for the NBA.
Yeah.
And it's like in the world. So like when you look at them, like that's crazy. And it's like I can't think of the Olympics. It's like let's have the average man run the 100 versus Usain Bolt. But like I feel like Kyle Singler is that average man for the NBA. Like I feel like if I worked out for 6 months, I think I could do what Kyle Singler does, and I'm a 6'0" white guy with no talent.
See, but we say that though, and Kyle Singler was also pretty good in college. So I mean, I don't know.
I have no respect for that.
Easily the worst.
You know what I'm
going
to go ahead and say, because I know Kyle's watching right now. Kyle, if you're watching and listening, you contact us at our email that's on the page. Yep. You'll go one-on-one v Dave. Show him up.
Longtime fan of the show, Kyle Singler. So sorry, Kyle.
Feel free to call in next week.
Yes. If you email the onsitekick at gmail.com, we'll set that up. But then, getting out of that, there's guys like Wes Johnson, who's usually in and off the bench. I mean, the Clippers just, their biggest hole is at small forward. He's there at like 27.
Yeah, he's a stopgap pretty much. He fills that spot. He doesn't do anything great for them, but he's not like a dark hole on that team because he is a capable defender. He can... Well, his shooting's not great. He can shoot, though. He can play average. No, he's below average. I'm trying to save him here. I really am.
You're trying
Look,
to
Clippers
help him.
I'm trying to help you, but no. You need to find a replacement.
He's a bench player. He's a bench player. And he's not a bad bench player,
no.
But he's a bad starting small forward. I mean, really, from the guys from 27 to 30, Kyle Singler, Wes Johnson, PJ Tucker, and Dante Cunningham, those guys should not be your starting small forwards.
Correct.
Can those guys be on your NBA team outside of Kyle Singler? Yeah. Those guys aren't bad players.
Outside of Kyle Singler?
Like Dante Cunningham, shooting 31% as kind of a power forward, small forward mix. It's not bad. I mean, you could definitely be like that. PJ Tucker, he shouldn't be the starting small forward for the Suns, but as a backup, he's not bad. Wes Johnson, same thing. He should not be starting on that Clippers team. But then we get into like 26 to 20, where we have young guys who either haven't proven themselves or have been injured, or the old guards that we have been all-stars before and are kind of on that downturn. Evan Turner's in there as well. But Evan Turner, we have Justice Winslow at 27, young player, first year last year. We heard all about this defense, couldn't get in there. So, looking at that like 20 to 26 mark, what guys are you kind of
Justice Winslow
looking at to make a jump?
Oh, to make a jump?
Yeah.
Still, Justice Winslow. He's the guy on this list that I was like, if coming out of the draft last year, I was like, this guy is going to be good. Miami got a steal.
Yeah.
Well, this guy is going to be great. And then it's like, what the fuck did you do? You didn't do anything. And he's a guy that maybe because D-Wade's not going to be there opens up some more opportunities.
He's got to step up.
He has to.
We did a redraft
he has to.
a couple months ago, and I think you had him redrafted at second overall, if I recall correctly, or third. Yeah,
I didn't have Winslow second overall.
You had him in your top 5 for sure.
No, I did not have him. I don't believe if I did, that is fucking ludicrous.
Go back to our NBA redraft. I'm pretty sure you had him higher than D'Angelo Russell.
I don't think I had him at 2.
This Heat
top
team,
5. But anyways,
this Heat team needs him to step up because
He
you've got
does.
a question mark with Bosh. You lost Wade. You've got a lot of gaps to fill, and he's a versatile guy.
Mm-hmm.
If he steps up, he can give them a lot of what they need across the board: scoring, rebounding, even not half bad assists. He can move the ball through. He isn't super greedy, so I like him. But at this point, he's shown me nothing.
the benefits of Justice Winslow, I mean, again, he's young, so it's not like he completely disappointed. You could still see as a first year player there were some bright spots, and obviously there were some low spots. So I mean, I would probably agree with you. Guy that would take a most jump is Justice Winslow,
because
he's
got a ton of
he's
room
going to get
improve.
more minutes. His shot hopefully will improve, and then everything after that. I mean, he's got the athleticism to stay with people on defense. He's got the athleticism to at least take it to the hole. He's got the body to kind of take some damage if he can't take it to the hole. So I mean, he's got everything for him. He just needs to push it forward.
Right.
So I mean,
he's got a big step to take this year.
Yeah, and that movement kind of got freed up with the 22 and 23 guys leaving the Heat: Luol Deng and Joe Johnson. Luol Deng and Joe Johnson, we have them low. And we have them low just because of their age. But I mean, Joe Johnson coming over to the Heat from the Nets, he did show that he can still score a little bit. And I don't think he should be that starting small forward for the Utah Jazz. He's currently slotted in, but as a player off the bench, I think he's still fantastic. And even if he is the starter, I still think you can get by. And same with Luol Deng. Luol Deng, if he's coming off the bench, that's a great sixth man, or that's a great seventh man.
Yeah.
A great veteran leadership there. And those guys, they're still capable as starters, but I wouldn't have those be my guys as starters. But still, if they are starting, it's not a downfall.
Do you want my honest answer about why they're so low?
Yeah.
It's because theoretically they have to drop off at some point.
Exactly.
Luol Deng has played more minutes. Like, his knees have to be worse than Kobe's right now, but they're not. He's holding up. He survived the Tom Thibodeau era in Chicago. I know, right? Give me something. But holy crap! And he saw a resurgence last year in the playoffs, playing power forward, pseudo power forward for this team. And now he goes over to a young team where he can kind of share that veteran presence. He can go through and teach them everything, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. This is a guy who's played under top coaches on fantastic teams, great organizations who have pushed deep in the playoffs. So, look, he is the number one guy I'd want to have in the locker room. But as far as a starting small forward, I'm not exactly thrilled about it.
But for the Lakers,
for
the Lakers, isn't anything. I mean, you lose Kobe, so Brandon Ingram coming in, like Dave, you mentioned last week. Yeah, ideally you'd want him playing small forward, but because of his size, Ingram's probably going to get thrown at the 2 this year.
Strength, yeah.
I mean, it's better than what you had last year. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but I mean, with the Deng thing as well. I mean, he was one of those guys too, where Brandon Ingram's not on the depth chart at all. So I mean, if we do end up seeing Brandon Ingram starting at small forward, and then Clarkson at the 2, and then
that'd be a good
Russ at the 1, I think that maybe what we'll see. And then the Luol Deng signing will make a lot of sense with him coming off the bench, because again, those miles, it's gotta crumble at some point, and that's the thing that we just haven't seen with Luol Deng. We kind of saw it with Joe Johnson a little bit. We saw a sharp decline when he got to Brooklyn, but we still saw he has some left
money,
in the tank.
Which you got to give him credit. I mean, a lot of those superstars miss their windows and they don't get paid. He got paid.
He did get paid, and someone else who got paid in the 15 to 20 range, Kent Bazemore. We have him at 17, and Kent Bazemore is a guy who I think he's going to fall off a lot.
I think he had an up year.
I think he didn't even have an up year.
That's true.
He had a down year from his up year.
Yeah, he peaked a couple of years ago. Well, peaked. He had his best year a couple years ago.
He's still 27, 26.
Bazemore, he fits the system. He's an average player, though. It's just timing. I really think that he's going to give you good minutes, good numbers, and he's a solid shooter. So, honestly, it's like vanilla. He's a good small forward. He is a average in this league. Absolutely.
I think Kent Bazemore, though, the one thing I was thinking about with him, and this was looking at like his stats last year, he's a guy that I would fit and say, you know what? He just fits with Atlanta. He fits with what the system that they run with. Because I'm trying to think of their head coach's name, and it's just blanking on me. It comes from the Popovich kind of a tree. Buttonhoser. Thank you. And it's just he just fits a Buttonhoser offense and defense and just overall system. So maybe just for Atlanta, that's where he fit in nicely.
See, but now, I mean, Korver's getting older. Korver's not. We saw the decline of Korver a little bit last year. I mean, he still shot 40% from three, but that went from
that's
49.
Like peasant level for Korver. Like that's an off a year.
So we don't know if he'll still be at that level last year or that he was at last year, shooting 40%. So now we're going to see Bazemore kind of be thrown into that spotlight. Jeff Teague's gone, so now we're going to see full Kent Bazemore here, and we'll see if he can actually take over because no more Horford, no more Teague. Korver's on the downside of his career. We're going to see if Kent Bazemore can actually take that step up. And if there's a guy in that like 17 to like probably 24 range, I would even throw like Luol Deng and Joe Johnson in there. I would say he might be the one that falls the farthest. I think he might be the most overrated player that we have here. And I'm saying that when he's ranked 17 and I had him at 18.
Yep.
But it's just he's got everything there. But he's not like a Justice Winslow where he can take another year to develop. He needs to take that jump, or it's just going to be Kent Bazemore. We're going to completely know what Kent Bazemore has to offer in the NBA. And kind of when we're talking about guys that can just small forwards, they're guys that are kind of niche players. 17 through 20 are kind of your shooters. You got Kent Bazemore, Damari Carroll, who can also play great defense but was injured last year. Otto Porter, who's more of a scorer, kind of developed that three-point shot last year.
Don't ask him to play defense on Jimmy Butler, though.
Oh my God.
Jimmy will shake and bake him all the way across the court.
And then you got Bojan Bogdanovic as well as 20, who actually played very well in the Olympics for Serbia. Don't want to bring up the Olympics because Ricky got pissed off.
We had a little bit of ISO
talk.
Dave, you said with Boban, you actually wanted to... Bojan. You wanted to mention his Olympic play played well into your rankings of him.
Yeah, and he did step up a lot. He did miss that key three-pointer at the end of the U.S. game that, it would have been great if he would have hit it, yes, but look.
Well, great for them, not for us.
I think it would have been a swift kick in the ass for us. Needed it. But no, honestly, he played well, slightly a chucker. I'm a little worried about that, but look, percentage-wise, he's fine. I think he's going to take a bigger step in this team now. And I really
think...
With
a Jalen now.
With a Jalen helping out run that offense, I think he'll see more and more growth as he goes. Look, I'm optimistic about him. I don't want to say I'm high. I'm optimistic about him because they're still the Nets.
Yeah, they're still the Nets.
They're a bad team. It's going to run through Brook Lopez, and that's just how it works. But he's got a chance to be their number 2 guy and just take way more shots, soak up more time, and I think he's going to be a good player. But it really comes down to... What is the line in the sand for how many shots he can just chuck? Because no offense, but I got a category of chuckers and he's in it.
Yeah. I mean, chuckers, there's a lot of them. Chandler Parsons might be in there. Kent Bazemore kind of fits in that role as well. But, I mean, guys that, Damari Carroll, I mean, if he can come back from injury, that's a guy that he'll be in that mid-level range because he's good on defense, he's good on offense, at least from a three-point standpoint. So if
he's one
he
of
can
those
come
system
back.
guys that I feel like he fit better in Atlanta than he does in Toronto, but he can still be a good piece for them.
A lot of people fit better in Atlanta. I mean,
Atlanta's
a good system.
Atlanta's San Antonio too, and therefore, role players exceed their expectations there.
One guy that you kept talking about though during our rankings is at 21. You had him at 18. Ricky had him at 19.
I want to have him higher.
Unfortunately,
but
I had him pretty low at 25. The reason I had him so low was because of injuries. That's Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and this is a kid who was phenomenal in the 13 games he played. He's like 21.
Name.
Younger than me though.
No, name too.
Oh yeah, Kid.
Come on.
Yeah, all right.
Come on. Come on,
it's 10:30 at night. I'm kind of slow right now. But yeah, no, Kidd-Gilchrist, had dealt with injuries. The first 13 games he played in looked fantastic. He's good on both sides of the ball. Do you think we'll see that jump, especially now that he's going to see more of a reliance on him because we saw people move from Charlotte. Now they're going to get Kidd-Gilchrist back. If he can stay healthy, do you think we'll actually see the final jump for Kidd-Gilchrist? Or do you think we'll kind of see him slotted at that 21 where he will be kind of that person who's more of a bench player? Maybe
a little bit of a jump, but looking at his stats his first 4 years in the league, he's had double-digit points each and every year. And I know you can say, yeah, but Ricky, that second year, he had about 10.7, so it was barely
He was also on a bad Charlotte team those first
bad Charlotte team. And he's also, you look at his average, he's even in the season last year, 13 games, 7.9 rebounds. He's had at least over 7.5 rebounds a year. So he's really, to me, going to be that double-digit guy. Last year in the 13, he still put up 15.6 points per game. So if he can put up maybe at least 17 or 18 points a game, increase that a little bit.
I don't think he's ever going to go up there.
Have the rebounds to maybe a solid 8. That would be quality for me on a Charlotte team that you lose Jefferson, you lose Jalen now, and they need someone to step in.
I don't think he's ever going to get up to 18, just to be honest. Looking at the way he plays.
I'm not saying he is. I'm saying if he could, that'd be fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, but the way that offense runs, Kemba's going to be your guy with the ball most of the time. He's a guy that drives to the hoop. I think he's shot a total of 25 threes in his 4 years. One of them was a 7-game season, but still, he shot a total of 25 games, so it's not like he's going to be able to park it outside. I think maybe if he's able to step it up a little more on defense, get those steals, and then go on fast break runs or something like that, I think that might help him.
How many more points do you think he needs to average if we're sitting 15's the base?
I think if he sat at 12, where he was playing last year, if he can sit at 12 and then just up those rebounds and maybe up those assists as well.
So he doesn't even need to get back to that 15 that he was at even through those first few games he played last year?
He was at 12 last year.
I have 15 on here, where I'm looking at basketballreference.com.
I'm looking at ESPN. They have him at 12.7 points. So,
I'm looking per 36.
Yeah, he's reading wrong numbers over here with his bad data. I'm so confused with all these numbers. You guys aren't talking about the right one, though. Games played.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, people.
That's why
games played.
That's why I said, can he hold up?
He only played 7 games last year.
He played 7 games, 55 before that, 62, 78. He's never even played 82. Since he came into the league, he didn't play 82.
Honestly, his top end is probably a 16-8 guy, and that'll be great. But he needs to play at least 70 games. And that's the biggest thing. Look, if he puts up 16-8 in 70 games, that's fantastic. I throw a party. I'm having a great time. And this looks like one of those, hey, he's finally, turned the corner, because this is a kid who has just suffered through bad injuries, missed games so much, and you want him to succeed because he came in the league so young with so much potential. And I feel like he's kind of gotten, pushed aside and, totally written off by people. I feel like if he has another year where he doesn't play at least 50 games, he's done. He's done with this team, not done in the NBA, because he's a 6'7", 230 guy with athleticism.
So he has to have the numbers.
Someone will pick it up.
He has to have the numbers that he had last year in limited games, but the amount of games that he played his rookie year.
He needs at least 50 games and to put up 12-6 or 13-6, something like that.
Well, I'm even saying I'm going above that. I'm looking at the rookie season where he played above 70.
See, but that was also on a bad Charlotte team. That was on a bad Charlotte team where there was not a lot of scorers.
He's realistically the number 3 guy on that team. So, from a scoring standpoint,
I would even say Marvin Williams might have jumped him on the 4. I don't think you need him to be a scorer. I think you need him to be kind of.
He's a defender.
He's a defender. I think if he can be a guy who can mismatch on defense, a guy who can shut down the other guy, and then he could get fast break points or transition points.
Out. It's
exactly.
He is more of that defender, but he doesn't bring that 3 ball. So now he's a defender. And he's got the athleticism to, like you said, it's the fast breaks. He can get down there really quickly. He can definitely work in the paint. He was shooting a crazy high percentage. I think it was upper 40s to low 50s for his entire time in the NBA. But again, I need to see at least. I want 70 games in 16-8. What I'm probably going to settle for is 50 games in 15 or 14-6.
I think if he plays 70 games, has from 12 to 14, can up those rebound numbers and up those assist numbers.
He goes then. Absolutely.
I think if he can just be that guy who can be either a lockdown defender or put up 15 and 8, I think that's going to be something that's really going to help him. But I think that what you brought up is he just needs to play games. He needs to be on the court for Charlotte, especially with their depleted offseason where they didn't have the cap salary to bring these guys back and didn't have enough to retool their team that made it to the playoffs.